What's up, Average Dad fans, you big bunch of beautiful bastards? It's time for another video, and it's time for the video you've been looking for. The Oppo Find N5 global version versus Chinese version. What are the differences? Well, I have some good news. Let's go. So for those new to the channel, I am the Average Dad, and this is what I do. I talk about phones outside the typical Apple, Samsung and Google hemisphere because they're far superior in all ways, and I bring the content you want direct to you. For example, I have had multiple questions about the Oppo Find N5 Chinese version versus global. What are the differences? And this video was always coming. I just had to be sure on a few different nuances, because the old answer I would give is Android Auto, Smartwatch connectivity, Google Gemini, other features just basically won't work on your Chinese device without some workarounds, and even with the workarounds it ain't possible. Well, with the Oppo Find N5 that isn't the case. I have some extremely positive news, corroborated evidence that these functions work. So I want to list off a few of the myths and common questions first. Does Android Auto work on the Oppo Find N5 Chinese version? Yes, absolutely it does. Here is proof. Not only does it work wired, it works wirelessly. Now that's dependent on your car, but the phone itself has wired and wireless connectivity on the Chinese version. Obviously, everything I'm talking about here, folks, if you're a global owner, it works on your global device. So having Android Auto is a massive bonus for a lot of people. I personally don't use it, but who cares about what I do? This is all about you. So Android Auto is a big yes. It works on the N5 Chinese version. And then Google Gemini. Does Google AI work on the Chinese version of the Oppo N5? Yes. Yes, it absolutely does. However, not as seamless as the global version. You are going to have to download the Google Gemini app from the Google Play Store. And I guess I should rewind. To get the Google Play Store, simply go to Settings, Accounts, toggle on Google, then download the Google Play Store from the Oppo App Store. Full Google apps, as normal, as if you've got the global Play Store. It is the Google Play Store. You just have to download it on the Chinese version. So there's no reason for anyone to be opening your phone, installing Google Play services and charging you extra for it. Get the phone from the Average Dad Tech Store sealed and just install it yourself. It takes about 4 seconds. Now, Oppo with the N5 released a new feature called O+ Connect. Well, I guess it's a feature / app. This functionality allows you to connect your Oppo Find N5 to your MacBook. Yes, not only will it link to Windows like every other phone, the Oppo will now link as a remote control to your MacBook, mirror your screen, transfer files quicker than AirDrop, and I am pleased. No, I am delighted to say this does work on the global and Chinese version of the Oppo Find N5. I remember watching a keynote last month and thinking, this is a game changer. And folks, it is. I use my Oppo N5 as my daily foldable phone, and I take many, many photos and videos. So to have them easily transferred to my MacBook to then edit in Final Cut Pro is, yeah, for me, my work stream, perfect. Now, other questions I get asked about is Google Pay. Will Google Pay work? Yes, absolutely. However, with some banks, the firewalls are slightly different. So you will have to use the Curve app to use NFC payments. So tap to pay may not work on some banks, but if that's the case through Google Pay, Just download the free Curve app, add your bank cards to there, and NFC will work seamlessly. And a lot of people ask, Google location tracking, Google timeline. I have had confirmation from more than one member with an OPPO Chinese N5. This works totally fine as well. Your Google timeline tracking is available on the Chinese version. So far, pretty goddamn positive. There is one thing that may put a few people off, and that's smartwatch connectivity. Unfortunately, due to the read-only memory of the Chinese versions, Wear OS just doesn't seem to want to play ball. So, if you have a OnePlus watch, obviously an Apple Watch, a Samsung watch, you will not be able to connect your watches with the device. Yes, even the OnePlus, as mentioned, this beautiful Nordic blue OnePlus Watch 2 that I have, doesn't connect with the OPPO Find N5 Chinese version. It will connect with the global, but not the Chinese. However, there are a couple of watches that I have in my possession that connect seamlessly. The first one being my Garmin Fenix 7 Pro X, whatever, like too many names to remember with Garmin. But this is important to note that not only does my Epix watch Gen 2 it's the Epix Gen 2 Pro actually. Not only does this Garmin connect, every single Garmin watch will. The Garmin Connect app works seamlessly on both global and Chinese versions of any phone. So Garmin is a good choice. And this Epix Gen 2 actually has a 51mm near 2-inch AMOLED display. It's pretty damn fantastic with 30 days battery life. Not an ad. And then, of course, Cosbet. A long-time partner on this channel. I've done quite a few videos on Cosbet watches. This is their Tank M3 Ultra, a super rugged watch. All Cosbet watches connect with global and Chinese versions of devices. So do your research. There are smartwatches out there for you if you are needing to connect it to your Chinese version of the OPPO or any Chinese version of a phone. And before we talk about the other massive difference, like the biggest difference of all, I just want to remind you all, hardware-wise, Chinese version, global version, exact same devices. Dimensions, battery, chipset, screens, everything is the exact same, folks. I know that some global versions and Chinese versions get different batteries. That's not the case on the OPPO. You have that huge internal 5600 milliamp hour. I'm using my memory here. If I'm wrong, I'll put an asterisk or you'll correct me in the comments. I think it's 5600 milliamp hours on both versions. And as mentioned, the 8.1 inch hour, the 6.6 inch hour, it's all fantastic. And I've said this before, the OPPO N5 is head and shoulders my favourite foldable phone I've ever used. What's up, folks? I was just about to finish editing this video and a very valuable channel member, Foster, thank you very much, just sent a video comparing the N5 Global to the Chinese version in terms of 5G data speeds. As you can see here in the video, the left-hand one is the global, the right-hand one is the Chinese. And while the hardware is the exact same, there is definitely something slowing the connection, the radio frequencies, whatever is going on inside with the Chinese ROM is making it slower on 5G. Now you do get 5G, you do get 4G and 3G, but the speeds are definitely slower. Not, unusably slow, just slower than that of the global version. So thanks, Foster, for sending that on, and yeah, back to the video. So the final big difference between the global version and the Chinese version is the price. The Chinese version, which I have just told you is the same hardware and basically everything on it works, is basically £200 cheaper than the global version. As you already know, and here comes the 10-second plug, The Average Dad Tech Store has both variants in stock, and I have a 3% discount code running all month. So for those that look at my price and say that I'm £12 or £13 more expensive than Wanda, please take off the 3% discount code and you will see I am about £30 cheaper than said competition. So that's the plug out the way, that's the differences out the way. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below. It was important I corroborated what I was just saying. That's why it took a bit longer to get this out. But I know you like these videos. And for those interested, I mentioned in my last video that the OPPO X8 Ultra and the Vivo X200 Ultra are coming out. I fully expect, particularly the OPPO, to be just like the OPPO N5 Chinese, because unfortunately both those Ultra phones are not coming globally. But if they get Android Auto, O+ Connect, Google Pay, Google Timeline, now more than ever I am struggling to see why you wouldn't go for the cheaper Chinese option. So that was that. Hopefully you've liked this video. If you have, let me know. Smash the like button. I know it's cringe. I'm 40-year-old asking for likes, but it helps that YouTube algorithm. And if you don't, I'll probably shout at you or come and beat you up. So yeah, do that. And if you haven't already, smash subscribe. And until next time,